Hi everyone. It's good to be back. My name is Andrew. I'm from ICAEW Malaysia. ICAEW stands for the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales. It's good to be back with Sunway, this late evening thoughts with them. If you have not checked out the previous episodes or the previous sessions that I have with the ICAEW students, do check it out on Sunway Test Facebook page. It's one of the videos down below that we had last month. So today we have a very nice two speakers that we have planned out for you. They will be talking about the skills for future professionals. So without further ado, I would like to invite Wei Yan and Nick Sharizal from PwC. Wei Yan, she is my boss from ICAEW. She's the head of Malaysia. I would like to invite both of them inside. Can we have both of them in?
Hi, Andrew. Hi, Wei Yan.
Hi, Andrew. Hi, Nick.
Hi, Wei Yan. Would you like to introduce yourself? Ladies first.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Hi, my name is Wei Yan, and I lead the team in ICAEW in Malaysia. Predominantly, what we do is we engage with employers to train chartered accountants. We work with higher education institutions as well as students. So our role is to train future chartered accountants like yourself.
Nick?
Oh, thank you, Andrew. My name is Nick Sharizal. I'm a partner in PwC, focusing on risk assurance. I think apart from that, I'm a father. I have two daughters. One wants to become a doctor. The other one wants to become a YouTuber. My hobby is traveling. So that's all about me.
That's nice. That's nice. So both of you I have immense leadership experience leading a team. Wei Yan, I believe, 15 years with ICAEW, about there. And Nick Sharizal has been leading his team as well for many years. So with those number of years, I believe that you have already gone through or already seen individuals develop their skills in the professional setting as well. So that's one thing that we're going to discuss this evening. And let's go straight to the question. So what kind of skills? This is for Nick first. So what kind of skills? Or transferable skills that you think that young students from those who are just finished SPM or are doing SPM right now, what are those transferable skills that they should pick up at the moment?
Okay, very good question, Andrew. But I actually did something interesting today. I think after thinking about that question for a long time, what I did was I actually reached out to my contacts and I asked them the same question. Now, these are people like, they are very senior people in the business, CEOs, CFOs, board members, senior government officers, and the rest of it. And I asked exactly the same question that you asked me. So as you can imagine, after a while, I started getting a lot of answers to all kind of skills from technical, analytical, and the rest of it. So in a true accountant fashion, what I did was I actually did a data analytics on this. I actually ranked all the skills and I measured the count. So starting from the highest count to the lowest one. So in conclusion, these are the 5 skills that most people basically talk about. The most important. Number 1 is communication skills. I'm actually reading it from my pivot table right now. Number 2 is data and technology skills. Number 3 is people skills, which is defined as listening, empathy, working with other people, and the rest of it. Number 4 is agility and adaptability, and number 5 is coding. Again, communication, data/technology, people skills, agility, and coding. So basically, that's the data that I've got today. So since they come from a various range of people, I think that could give some good indication what are the skills that people need to cultivate for their future career.
Sure. Wei Yan?
This is I was busy writing it down, so it's actually it's very interesting to look at how the common theme that they have, and in ICAEW as well. We looked at where the profession is. I mean, ICAEW is 140 years old. We just celebrated 140 years last month, and we trained we currently now have over 150,000 members across the world, and many of them are leading in many organizations and in their own profession. So the ACA qualification is robust in the sense that they continuously being updated, and we talk to employers and we look at what are the skills that they require for them to develop as the business leaders. So actually, Nick, you are actually really spot on, very similar to that. And we look at the skills where we are looking. I had to put on my glasses now. This whole the HIM. We looked at the 5 skills that a lot of where our qualification were based on is looking at the adaptability. You have that as agility, adaptability. We looked at insight, and it's something that is very important that you're able to analyze. Like you say, this is where the whole bit about the data tags and how you analyze, you have the insight to that. Collaboration, definitely teamwork, etc. Perspective, and the last is learning and reflection. So it's a continuous learning as we progress in our different career. So I did my research, Nick. I didn't talk to many CEOs, so I look at my children and I kind of reflect, because I have 2 boys. Like I mentioned, one is coming to 18 and one is about 21. And of course, the last couple of years was where they're growing, and they will, like our audience, at a young age, and they're finishing their school. They're going off to further education, going to university, and what are the skills that they're looking at. And I was reflecting on my own experience. And there was 3 things that popped up really kind of like immediate. One is financial literacy. And I find that, it comes down to budgeting. I know when I send my kids goodbye and I said, this is the sum of money that you have. And it was quite interesting how I had to help them to budget, because there's a difference between cash flow and budget. Suddenly they have a lot of money in the beginning. They don't realize they could spread it out. Or when you ask them, they spend they pay for something, but it's supposed to spread over 12 months. So budgeting and cash flow. So I think that's financial literacy is very important. Then they learn how to shop for the best value, and to make sure their money stretched further away, and so on. So that was something that I felt was very important for them to have. Secondly was what I say, cooking. Actually, it's not just cooking for food. But to me, cooking is about management. It's almost like time management, project management.
Right.
You have to prep, you have to cook, and you have to make sure you boil the rice first, and then you do this. So it's the kind of time management that they have to get that skills. And the third one, I thought, if I reflect very much for myself, is I call knitting or sewing. And that's really having an eye for detail, because I think from my experience with my children, when they're left on their own away from home for the first time, they have missed their exams, they have missed their flight, they have missed all sorts of stuff because they don't have the eye for the detail to be trained. So yeah, lots of stories to tell about all these things. But, back to you. Yeah.
That's very thanks for the sharing. Just a pause for a while. It's like if those any one of you who are on the session right now, just drop in your comments, and if any questions to ask Nick and also Wei Yan, do drop it in, and then we will try to answer the questions later on in this. Wei Yan, I really like your what you said about knitting, about the attention to detail. I guess that's what chartered accountants actually do, right? We have to be both of you are chartered accountants. From ICAEW, I think the attention to detail is very important in a way that, especially for Nick in a risk assurance field, that this is one thing that you should be training your staff to actually look into that, right? Any feedback on that?
You're absolutely right, Andrew. But also, I would like to add that attention to the detail is very important. But at the same time, it is also important to have that ability to see the big picture. Sometimes the risk about looking too deep into the details is that you miss the bigger picture, you miss the big theme, the big storyline. So I think, to me, the ability to see the big picture and looking at details are both equally important.
Yeah. So it's like looking at a big one, and then after that you microscope down to the narrow one as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's one thing that I like to share as well, is that actually I'm from I took masters in genetics. So when I'm doing I do masters in genetics right now. I'm doing student recruitment. So this one thing I actually shared with the ICAEW team as well is that how the skills that's transferable, or actually something that I picked up, is that when I actually have to look into the microscopes and look at all the bacteria that I'm cloning, those are the things that I have to scan at least 96 96 columns of chips, so that I know that what I'm looking into it, it's more is what I'm finding for. So those are the things that actually I picked up, and something that stays with me, so that I am quite particular with a lot of things. Actually, I can spot the minor details. So yeah, knitting is one thing, attention to detail. Yeah.
Well, what I can add, Andrew, I mean, if you can watch the bacteria and be at that level of detail, I don't think anything you can miss anything else, really.
Yeah. It's really something that these are transferable skills that I think that we should that everyone should be looking for, and should be thinking about how we can be adaptable in various fields of work as well. Let's go on to the next one, and then after that we'll take on some questions from the stream. So the next question will be, the skills that you have listed, or the skills that both of you mentioned. Why do you think that these skills are more important than the others? Maybe Wei-Yen, you want to answer this first?
I think of for all the skills, we talk about soft skills and hard skills. They are all equally important in their own field. One of them that came up in both Nick and I just now is the agility, and ICAEW we call it adaptability, and that is super important. Super important to be able to be agile, because we were just talking about jobs, like your child wanting to be a YouTuber, which in our generation it wasn't there. So we all talk about the disruption of technology, how jobs will change, new jobs will appear. And I think it's having that, be able to cope. Whatever that you learn, it's not just hard-coded facts like this. It is really how to adapt to the different situation, and how to be agile, to be able to cope with it as well. I think one of the things that I was talking to some of the experience is basically, it's like, things like when you have change, some people have very rigid way of looking at certain things, but when circumstances changes, you will also need to adapt to that as well. So I think adaptability, agility, it goes along in the different stages of your career. You meet different people, you come up with different circumstances. That ability is actually very, very crucial.
Nick, anything to add?
Yes, I completely agree with what's been mentioned over there. I suppose there could be many reasons why these skills are being mentioned more than others, but these are my hypothesis. I mean, if you look at the 5 skills that I mentioned and earlier, communication, data, technology, people, agility, and coding, we can roughly put it into a number of distinctive themes. I think the first theme, as Wei-Yuan mentioned earlier, there seems to be a strong theme towards technology, data, coding. I think that's very clear. And I think the reason of that is not surprising. I mean, if we look around us, the trend towards digitalization is very, very strong. Businesses are being disrupted. So therefore, the ability to have the ability to make sense of what's going on, of the data and the technology, is highly sought after by organizations. So that's why I think that it's not surprising that people mention about this skill. The second theme is quite interesting, because even in the rise of technology and intelligent machines, skills such as communications, people, interaction, empathy, these are being mentioned a lot. And I think there could be 2 reasons why this is the case. I think, number one, as machines become smarter and more adept at conducting tasks, I think the ability to engage and interact with human beings becomes a lot more important. And then number 2 is that if we look at history and we look at all the past value creation activities, when great things were invented, when great companies were created, a lot of the root cause, the reason why it happened is due to collaboration of a number of people, so it's not about working alone. So I think that's why many organizations think that collaboration is important, communication skills are important, because the ability to work with another human being cross-discipline is still very important. And definitely across the big four in PwC, that ability is also extremely important to all of us. So most time I don't just work with assurance, I work with tax, I work with consulting, everyone. So I think that's theme number 2. And the last theme is I would like to talk about the word agility and adaptability being mentioned a lot. And I think part of the reason is because we live in an increasingly uncertain world. There are a lot of disruptions happening. Whatever worked 5 years ago doesn't work now anymore. Businesses are being disrupted. The business model change frequently. So therefore, the ability to unlearn what you know and learn new things become more critical now. So it's not just about learning something and be rigid at it. You have to be flexible. You have to recognize if there is new thing coming, and you have to learn new stuff. So adaptability and agility is extremely important. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very, very sharp. In a way that it shows that how relevant we stay as chartered accountants in the field that you guys doing. So both of you qualified long ago. I'm going to put you on the spot right now. Is that how is the profession, or how is the profession of chartered accountancy still relevant now with data and technology coming up? People are talking about the rise of robots replacing accountants. What's your thoughts on this? Nick, would you like to go first?
Okay, you did put me on the spot there, because I'm probably going to reveal my my age now. It was some time ago that I set for the syllabus, but a short answer to your question is that yes, it's still relevant. And I think part of the reason why it's still relevant, even though I sat for the exams and training many years ago, was that even though the syllabus and the tax laws and the rest of it has changed, but the core reason, philosophy behind it is still the same, which is it's about problem solving. It's about knowing and learning how to find things and solve a problem. And I think that principle of problem solving will always be with us, for a long time. People are expected to solve problems. In the past, the problems were different. Currently, and the future, the problems will be different, but they are still problems. So I think it's the ability to recognize what is the root cause of the issue. What exactly is a problem statement? How do you solve this? And how do you give a coherent answer? I think these are the skills which I felt the ICAEW training has really helped me in the past.
Wayne, yourself?
I'm even older, so that's really depressing. But saying that, I think when I started just now, we said, we are 140 years old. We as in the institute is 140 years old. And I think the relevance of a good business and finance professional will always be there, in the sense that whether, just like Nick said, the problem may change, may be different, but accountants or chartered accountants, we are advisors. We are trained. One of the main things that we're looking at is really about the trust, a trusted business advisor. So it's like when you go to see a doctor, you trust a doctor to give you the best medical advice. It seems as you go to a chartered accountant is to solve business issues. Whether it could be, it's just that it's wide. It's even with doctors, they've got different type of specialists. You have the different medical fields. So even with chartered accountants, they're the business advisors. But like you said, they also have tax. You also have advisory. You have different field as well. So you are trained in a very wide range of skills in areas. But the key thing is really how to take complex issues that you understand and really chop it down and to explain it to your client in a way that they would understand it. So that's what, in a way, as a professional, and you do it in a most trusted manner, and you have it in confidence, and you are giving the best service. So there's a whole wide range of those things, and the skills that you have is really like we say, we talk about transferable skills. A lot of things that you learn, now we're really, really old, and during my time, it's not even IFRS. There are different standards that we're using. The standards has changed, but the principle behind it, you would actually learn a lot. A lot of the things that I learned when I was training, we talk about even like time management. all of them, we go through that. We have to do our studies, we have to work, we have to manage everything. And I think that skill itself, it also bring with us when you go to your different type in your career, especially when you're leading organization, you have to look at so many things at the same time, and really learning how to prioritize and etc. So that is all the things that is part and parcel of coming that, yeah.
That's very, very nice. It's a very wonderful sharing from the both of you. So chartered accountancy is still relevant. Just a short one. If you guys are listening now, chartered accountancy is relevant, will be relevant in the future as well. We're going on into a bit of the details later on. If you guys like to stay on, and also some of the lecturers will be coming on tomorrow, and also the subsequent days to actually talk about the syllabus and how it's being relevant. I will explain that later. There's one question on the stream that we would like to take. So data and technology usually means having the skills in Microsoft apps and softwares. I'm not sure whether that's absolutely true. There's other things that probably in the accounting field or in the risk field, there's something else different. So what, Nick, I think I'm going to ask you to answer this. So do you know of what other data sets or data skills that people need to know as you are a practitioner in practitioner right now? Yeah.
Wow. I think, Andrew, if I'm to answer this question, I need another 30 minutes, but I'm just condensing it into 2 minutes, right? I think the most important thing is that sometimes the feedback that I get is that even though tools are very important in data analytics and technology, but increasingly what has become more and more important now is the ability to understand what does those data mean, and what are the deep business insights that you can get from that data. And in order to get the answer to that question, sometimes it's not just about using tools. You can use various tools to process the data and show you the anomalies, but still you will still need human beings to speak to other people and find out what is going on. How do we solve that problems? So I think in summary, data and technology is not just about technical skills. It's not just about knowing how to use apps and software. It's also about knowing how to interact, knowing to diagnose what exactly the problems are, and knowing how to find the answer to that problem. So I think in a 1 minute slot, that's all that I can say right now.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. There's one question before I bid you guys farewell. There's one question. I think this one, I'm not sure whether Wayne can answer this, or maybe this is more a HR question. What are the impacts that COVID-19 has on the accountancy profession, if any? I'm not sure. But yeah, Wayne, can you attempt this?
So of course, this is difficult times for many people. And one of my tasks or job really to speak to a lot of our members. We call out, I have one-on-one conversation with them. Some of them are in the accountancy profession. Some of them obviously running businesses, from travel agencies to, different things as well, and how they cope in terms of their training. Surprisingly, like I said, what their training have prepared them. And to, of course, number one, to make sure that you conserve cash and, looking at your cash flow and et cetera, et cetera. Now, on the accountancy profession, then the part of my job as well, then I also talk to a lot of our HR people in our authorized training employers, because one of the things for you to qualify for ICAEW is that you must have what we call a training agreement. That's when you will be working with an employer full-time to get the work experience. And at the same time, you gain the knowledge and you take the exams. So that is part of the training that we do to develop you as a chartered accountant. So, of course, we have to see what is the impact of that in the accountancy profession. And the interesting bit is that this is coming from one of our council members who said that in the accountancy profession, when it's good times, we talk about mergers and acquisitions, we talk about, expanding loans, etc., etc. There will be, in terms of the profession there is that group that will be very busy. And in times of bad times, we have tax planning, we have insolvency, we have all sorts of stuff. There is also another field of accountancy, that profession they would to look at. And in fact, just before I came on call, I was speaking to one of our young members who said that he has now been, focusing on restructuring, because there's a lot of businesses now that will be looking to restructure their portfolios and their jobs. So I think what it is they're saying is that in that's chartered accountancy, it is trained for you to be, again, the word again, agility comes in. And because that's why we said the learning and the reflection is actually important. It's a continuous learning as part of your career. And there is a wide range. So, of course, in terms of immediate recruitment for in the profession itself, there will be challenges. And of course, we will get over it. There will be time, it will be better. So I go back years and years and years back when I graduated. I actually qualified or graduated as a engineer, and it was during the recession. And again, this is one of the hardest hit time when certain degrees that you study may be challenging to get certain jobs. And that's when we went into chartered accountancy, and that's why. And then the thing is, when it will pick up, and you can pick up, and it's been a great career.
Nice, thank you. One question that probably that everyone want to listen is this question that just came in. I think this is just a final statement from both of you. How will IR 4.0, Industrial Revolution 4.0, impact the accountancy profession? I've been reading a lot of articles from the ICAEW websites and a lot of the news reports on how IR 4.0, they say that may replace accountants, but at the same time as well, I think it just changes what we do, and it enables accountants to do better in a wider area. Nick, any comments on that?
I think the answer is expect a lot more disruptions, expect a lot more process of unlearning and learning new things, and expect more adaptability. So again, it goes back to the theme that I mentioned earlier, the ability to adapt, to be agile in the change of a changing environment is extremely important. And I think as long as we accountants, chartered accountants, have that ability, I think the profession will continue to be highly relevant in the future.
Yeah, Wei Yan, last statement.
I think in terms of the impact, I think it is not right to deny that it will not be an impact. I mean, if we are honest in the sense that I think if you're looking at certain level and type of job, the accountancy job, if you talk about bookkeeping, the very basic level, it will be impacted because there will be a lot of things that you can just put in your input and the whole chart comes out and etc. But I think that's why the ICAEW syllabus and the qualification has always prepared for a much higher level where you analyze, you actually look at the numbers and what does it tell you. You have to be able to explain. It makes good business sense. And again, all the things that we're talking about, the skills, it all comes with the skills. It's not learning about just the debit and the credit and etc. It's actually a lot more than that. And so it is important to make sure that you pick the right training, the right skills for you to develop, for you to just progress in the, for years and years to come. So just for the young audience, and when I was at school, there was no internet. So we just changes and we adapt when we learn and we adapt. So that's part of it. So it will be there.
I just can't imagine the time that I don't know, without technology. I think that's something. I think I grew up in the era as well that the 1992s. That's where computers started coming in, or the PC started coming into Malaysia, and that's where we started on. But before that, obviously, I did not get my own first laptop until I was, I don't know, after Form 5. That's quite a generation for me to actually pick up the computer skills. But again, it's like what both of you said. It's like if you have the willingness to learn and you want to continue to solve problems, I think everyone will be able to survive in this pandemic as well, and also will survive the Industrial 4.0 that is coming as well.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Wei Yan. Love your sharing. I'll bid you guys farewell. I will stay on. But thanks for your sharing tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Andrew, for inviting me. Thank you, Wei Yan, and thank you for all the great questions. Really appreciate it. Okay, good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, Nick. Bye, Andrew.
Bye. All right, so that's Nick Sharizal from PwC and Lo Wei Yan from ICAEW Malaysia. So right now, I'll be moving on to explain to you about, or just give you a short recap on the ICAEW training, the ACA training that that is happening in Sunway. I'm going to share you my screen for a while. Then I'll just go through the slides very quickly. Again, if you have any questions that that we would like to answer, that you would like me to answer, I will try to answer this here. However, if you have further questions on the ICAEW program at Sunway, you can actually contact Sunway. The banner will be scrolled down at the bottom, so you can actually inquire to Sunway tests. Otherwise, you can just answer the questions here as well. Let me share my screen for a moment. Oops. Yep. Right, there we go. So the ACA training. So ICAEW stands for the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales. The ACA training consists of 4 components. The 2 major ones would be the practical work experience and also the accountancy, finance, business modules that you can do it at Sunway tests, right? And then that's where if you heard about Wei Yan mentioning about authorized training employers, that's where the practical work experience comes into play. And then there is the merge on how we put practical and theory in together is whereby we're talking about the business ethics and professional skepticism, and what we're talking tonight would be the the professional development, the skills that you'll be able to develop as an ICAEW chartered accountant, right? So just a quick recap, if you actually start off from SPM, you'll be going into the Sunway ICAEW CFAP route at the age of 18. Those who are who have already entered it, good. And then after that, you'll be completing the CFAP program for at 19 years old. This includes, this 1.5 years includes of a 3 months internship. So you may be thinking about, what at such a young age could you actually be working in the Big Fours or in the audit line? This is a question that I get asked most by parents, but I would say that your children will be fine. All right, your children will be fine. They are being mentored very, very well. If you have actually listened to the sharing the last month itself, there's a lot of students who actually went through that process for it. So you'll be in good hands. All right. So by the time you reach 19, you'll be doing your professional qualification, professional level, and then you'll be getting your first job at the age of 20. And by progression, you should be able to get to a manager level by the age of 23 or 24, around the age. Because I know of someone who actually is at 23, he's already a manager and he's completed his ICAEW. So this is a quick snapshot of the Sunway program. How are you going to do it, right? So right now, I'm going to go into more detail about the professional development, about the skills, right? About the skills that you can develop as an ICAEW student. These are the skills that you can develop now, right? Or they develop when you are in the program. And this is what we have been talking about recently, all right? So just give you a skills outlook. This is a screen capture from the World Economic Forum. It's not a secret knowledge. This has been around for quite some time. So I'm going to zoom in a bit so you guys can actually see. So the skills that are declining, right, are the manual dexterity, endurance, and precision skill, because those can be replaced by computers, right? Memory, management of financial material resource. These are technologies that can actually solve logistic issues. Management of personnel, it's slightly more in the way of, it's really manual work. So if you're talking about the impact of IR 4.0 on the accountancy profession, the bookkeeping, the manual debit and credit, those are the things that will be replaced, right? So what are the growing skills, right? What are the growing skills that it needs? So it's something that what Nick and Wayne has been sharing all night. Is talking about interaction, talking about empathy, talking about communication, how you deal with clients, creativity. These are the skills. Complex problem solving. These are the skills that it's relevant, and it will keep you relevant now, whereby technology is going to come in, but humans will not be replaced. The human touch cannot be replaced in this area, right? So there are 7 skill ladders in ICAEW. There are 7 skill ladders. Throughout these 7 skills, you'll be completing this when you are in your work. So in each of these skill ladders, there are 7 goals that you would have to complete. So let me give you an example on a problem-solving skill. In the problem-solving skills, that what are these 6 to 8 goals? You may be thinking like, can there be more? Right? Can there be more to problem solving? Isn't problem solving just a big umbrella? If you actually slice and dice problem solving, it could go into how do you support others to solve problems? All right, that's one of the goals. Next one will be identifying a problem, right? Obviously, you think it is very rudimentary, but identifying a problem. Sometimes it may not be a problem. Sometimes it could be a big problem or a small problem. All right. Next, evaluate different options to solve a problem. Next, to prioritize which is more important now or important in the future. Next one is think creatively. Consider different perspective. Right, that's the reflection that Wei Yan is mentioning just now. Make useful recommendations. So not all problem solvers they give I would not say useful, but say very effective. So you're talking about efficiency of solving the problems, right? And implementing the solution. A good idea is a good idea. It's just a dream. If you cannot implement, you cannot put out those steps in order to solve that particular issue. So problems in this example, problem solving, I've really listed you this kind of eight goals that you have to complete when you are working and when you are completing your ICAEW training itself, right? Next. Within these 7 skills, there are 5 key themes that Wei Yan has mentioned earlier just now: adaptability, insight, collaboration, perspective, learning, and reflection. So these are the key themes that ICAEW have identified are the necessary skills or the necessary skill ladders to bring everything together in order that we can demonstrate adaptability. Now, this is going to get a bit technical. I hope you guys can follow me through, and we'll see how this goes. All right. Like I mentioned, there are 7 skill ladders, like ethics, communication, teamwork, decision-making, problem-solving, adding value, and technical competence. Next, set 5 key themes, right? Which I'm going to show you about adaptability. All right. How do you adapt, right? In adaptability, I'm going to show you in the areas of communication, problem solving, ethics, teamwork, technical competence, and also adding value. All right, so this is how it goes, right? Again, if you have any questions on this, I'm just drop it in the comments, right? How do you demonstrate adaptability when you're communicating? It's really about when you're influencing, all right? When you're influencing someone who is more senior than you, right? You adapted your behavior, style, approach, and means of communication towards another person to gain their commitment, right? So that's influencing. You adapt the grammar. You adapt the words that you use. You cannot be so technical, otherwise it just goes over the head, right? Next, how do you adapt when you're solving a problem, when you're implementing a solution? You show resilience and creativity, and you deploy the resources. How do you show adaptability when you are demonstrating professional behavior, right? Right? You are resilient in maintaining your professionalism in challenging circumstances, right? How do you adapt, okay? When you're doing a teamwork, how do you adapt to it, all right? You need to deliver tasks under pressure, right? You monitor and manage workload and resources to contribute to the team's objective, right? That's another adaptability. It could be about arranging your time as well, right? Those kind of things, right? So you monitor and so next one is a technical competence. Sorry, next one is technical competence that you identify an area where technology innovation, what kind of tools that you can use, right? What kind of necessary tools for you to solve, right? Solve that problem. And lastly, of all of us working adults, we face this is how do you add value in a way that we work flexibly, right? With this work from home situation, you have to respond flexibility to changing circumstances like this COVID without losing your efficiency and focus. So these are the kinds of adaptability themes or skills that you can pick up when you're training as an ICAEW Chartered Accountant. And all of this will be recorded, right? And all of this will be recorded in your online training file, right? Let me stop this screen, move from stream. Yeah, so that's all I have for today. If you have any questions, do get in touch with me. My name is Andrew from ICAEW Malaysia. I think there's an ending screen whereby they will put up my contact, or you can actually contact Sunway straight away on the ICAEW programs that you're doing there, right? So in recap, we talked about skills, and last month we actually talked about the experience, the students' experience, and tonight we talk both Nick and also Wei mentioned about the skills that you can develop as a young student right now. If you're still in SPM and listening to this, you can develop these skills. These skills would bring you far from where you are right now, right? So that's all I have for tonight. I hope to see you soon. I hope that if you have any questions, do send it to Sunway. Right? Thank you.